Well, Michelle Forbes, congratulations on your Emmy nomination. It's been a long time coming, right?
It's an honor. It truly is. I know it sounds like a cliche, and it's so great. It's so many wonderful people nominated this year. It's a right joy.
You've been working on TV for so many years, and so many different projects over the years. What made The Killing special for you?
As soon as I read that script, I was just really haunted by Mitch, and I felt that I understood something about her grief and her pain, and I wanted the chance to explore that. I had no idea where it was going, but I really wanted to explore that on a fairly deep or profound level. So there was something about Mitch, about how affordable she was at the beginning, and how her life implodes, and she goes on this journey, and I just wanted to touch that for a moment, to feel that for a moment.
When you're reading scripts, you usually obviously have an idea about how the show will turn out, but once you saw the pilot, what was your initial reaction about that and how it all turned out?
Well, I've only just recently seen the pilot, the first 2 episodes. I still haven't seen the series as a whole. And I understand that it was, especially the pilot, the first maybe 2 or 3 episodes are very, very similar to the Danish. And I think what really stuck out to me, and I'm such a visual creature, is that I just thought it was really visually beautiful. And Peter Wunstorf, our DOP, I just can't say enough about him, and how he tells the story so emotionally through his camera work and through his vision. So I was really blown away by how beautiful it was.
How do your character, I mean, you have to go to some dark emotional places from the very beginning all the way to the end. How do you summon that up just over and over and over, day after day after day?
Well, I guess there's a tiny bit of masochism in us actors to sort of, voluntarily walk down that road. And I've said this before, it's such a heightened circumstance, the loss of a child, and not just a loss through illness, but through such a brutal murder. So in one way, it's almost an easy thing to do because the circumstances are just so heightened, and it's such a sorrowful set of circumstances. So it's not a pleasant place to go every day, but I think once you cement that in your belly and in your soul, then it's very easy to live that every day, and you immerse it. And I think I'm glad we were on location for this. It was painful in a lot of ways because you're isolated, but Mitch was isolated too in her grief, and so and you don't have the distractions of being at home. So there was something wonderful about walking those streets of Vancouver late at night and living with the story.
It can be very hard to watch when you're seeing a child or a teenager being murdered or hurt in any way, obviously. And so do you rely on the other cast members, and especially for did you rely much on Brent Sexton, your co-star, in just trying to keep things at least at a certain levity, or so that you wouldn't all go completely insane? Or what was the set like is what I'm trying to get at.
We were all very separate in our storylines, I will say that. We sort of were spinning in these 3 separate worlds. The Larsons never really crossed over into the political storyline. Very briefly towards the end, I suppose. And so, yes, we had, Brett and I had a lot of very sensitive work to do together, and we both showed up, and we're both professionals, and those 2 little boys, I just can't say enough about them. They have to live through something that they probably hadn't really thought about before. Mm-hmm. And there were so many times I would just look at their faces and my heart would just break, I always rely on my fellow actors. I always rely on their eyes and watching and seeing what they do and allowing them to break my heart or to make me laugh. So but there was a lot of isolation involved as well, because, as the marriage started to fall apart and everybody started spiraling off in their own senses of grief, everybody was sort of isolated in a way that the family became isolated in their fragmentation.
I guess you heard about the, I don't know if it's controversy or at least discussions about the way the finale ended and not necessarily telling the audience who the murderer was. That's going to be resolved in the second season. What was your take on that, and will you be back for season number 2? You left the family there at the end of season number 1.
Yes, well, I did hear about the controversy. I think even if I'd been in Marrakesh, I would have heard something about it. It was quite deafening. You know, I believe everybody is allowed their opinion, whether they felt positive about the show or negative about the show. You know, we tell the story for the audience, and so they have every right to own their own feelings. But those are all creative decisions, and I'm certainly outside of that. I don't make any of those creative decisions. I just, you know, I show up and I do my job to the best of my abilities. And what was the second half of that question?
Oh, you left the family at the end of the first season, so will you be back?
From what I understand, yes. It was, yes. From what I understand, for how long, I don't know. I don't know when they plan on wrapping up the Larson storyline, when they're planning on going to a new case. I really have no idea. I haven't heard anything from anyone.
You know, I was wondering, Michelle, does it just drive you completely nuts when you're walking down the street and people are like, "Oh, who killed Rosie Larson? No one will know. Can you tell me?" Like, does that just drive you insane, or are you used to that by now?
Well, yes, because every couple of years it sort of changes. my street catchphrase changes, you know. A few years ago, everybody was expecting me to concoct orgies.
Wow.
Years before that, they were expecting me to torture a robot, you know. So now we're in the years of who killed my child. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited for your Emmy nomination. It's been well earned and probably should have happened long ago for some of these other projects as well. So good luck, and we hope you enjoy going out to the Emmy Awards this year.
Oh, thanks so much. And I look forward to a wonderful night and seeing all my old friends.
Thanks, Michelle.